Greetings everyone who's watching. I'm Maurice Barratt. This is January 2021 and we're in lockdown again. I believe this is only a prelude to what the One World Plan is all about. I believe we're heading for an economic collapse of the whole world so that the economics, the politics, the finance can be reset to form a new communist type world state. That may seem conspiracy theory to most, but it's actually conspiracy fact now. I wrote books over 20 years ago, a series called 6,000 Years of Babylon. That's volume 3. There's 5 volumes, and in it I share about the state of the world then and what would happen in the future, and it's coming to pass. So I can recommend those books. They're available from the Barratt Ministries website, www.barrattministries.org.uk, or they're available from Amazon as a paperback or Kindle download. It's not guesswork or theory anymore. The leaders of the world are openly declaring it on the websites: World Health Authority, the World Economic Forum, United Nations. They're declaring, they're coming out and saying that they want a one world system. One world finance, one world politics, one world army. We've already got a one world court. And so let me give you a couple of quotes from off the websites. This was on the World Economic Forum website. They took it down. They put it up, and I don't know why, but they took it down. But I've seen the video and you can still watch it on YouTube. And they say this: you will own nothing and you'll be happy about it. They plan to take the property of everyone when the economic collapse comes. They'll wipe out everybody's debt to take their possessions. It's only a form of communism. This is a quote from the World Economic Forum website. There's an urgent need for global stakeholders to cooperate in simultaneously managing the direct consequences of the COVID-19 crisis. To improve the state of the world, the World Economic Forum is starting the Great Reset Initiative. So they're declaring that they're starting the initiative. As I'm talking now, they're preparing for the conference, yearly conference at the end of January. Because of COVID, they're going to do it as a conference instead of being live, and they've put it through till May. But they're going to talk about how they're going to implement it. Well, the modern chorus says, these are the days of Elijah. So what are the days of Elijah all about? Why would somebody write a song that these are the days of Elijah? He lived hundreds of years before Jesus was born. Well, Elijah's an interesting character, as well as the things that happened in his lifetime. Malachi said that Elijah would come again to prepare the way of the Messiah. And John the Baptist claimed that he was fulfilling that prophecy, a voice in the wilderness. Matthew 11:14, Jesus said, if you will receive it, this is Elijah which was for to come. And he's talking about John the Baptist. So Jesus, confirmed that he came in the spirit of Elijah. And Matthew 17 verse 10 to 12. And Jesus' disciples asked him, saying, why do the scribes say that Elijah must come first? And Jesus said unto them, Elijah truly shall come first and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elijah is come already, and they knew him not. But they've done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. John the Baptist was beheaded and Jesus was killed. So Jesus claimed that John the Baptist came in the spirit of Elijah. But he didn't restore all things. So that means that John the Baptist, or the spirit of Elijah, has to come back again in these last days. Well, what was the spirit of Elijah? Without going into the story of the prophets of Baal, Elijah was to turn Israel back to God. The hearts of the fathers back to the children, and the children back to the fathers. That doesn't only mean physically, that means spiritual, to unite us back to our spiritual fathers that we've lost, those early patriarchs of the New Covenant. Well, this has to happen again. We have to prepare the way of the Lord. And we're in the last days. Many believers have been caught out by events of the last year. I understand that. They weren't expecting it and they weren't prepared for it. And the fear of disobeying authority over obeying God was the norm. And it was an embarrassment to me. They should have been ready. We should have armed ourselves to have the mind of Christ. Arm yourself with this mind to suffer as Christ has suffered for us, and set us the example that we should follow in his footsteps. So there's clear scripture saying that we should be prepared at any time for persecution. So there were no protests from the denominational leaders for churches to remain open, or the right not to forsake the assembling of ourselves together. They just conformed. They got caught out, I understand that. But I'm not discouraged. For this is sorted out the ones who'll stand and the ones who'll bow when things get worse. Most Christians, well, I think nearly every Christian who's evangelical believes that the one world system will come and the mark of the beast will be implemented. And this is a good test to see whether we'll stand. So I'm not discouraged. There's always a remnant in any persecution and tribulation who won't bow the knee. And 1 Kings 19 verse 18, when Elijah said, "Oh, I'm the only one left, nobody will stand against Jezebel or anyone else," God said this to him, "Yet I have left me 7,000. 7 is a spiritual number meaning completion. So the complete remnant, the 7,000 in Israel, all of the knees that have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him." And talking about Israel, God's people, Paul says in Romans 11, verse 4 and 5, but what says the answer of God to Elijah? "I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal." But then Paul talks about the present time, which was a few years after Jesus had died. And they were living under the iron fist of Rome. They were under persecution. And verse 6 carries on, "Even so then, at this present time," that's AD 50 or 60, whenever it was, "there is a remnant according to the election of grace." There's always been a remnant who wouldn't bow the knee. Well, I believe persecution's coming to the West, and the church are not ready for it. If you can't stand now in this pandemic, you'll never stand when you can't buy or sell. Now's a good time to get strong. Let me encourage you. If you've failed and been fearful, now's the time to get strong and bold, not stupid and irresponsible, but to walk in faith. God gave me a scripture for the year 2008, and it was our motto for the year, and it's so applicable to today's study and 2021. It's from Jeremiah, chapter 12, verse 5, and I'll finish with this. I'm sure I'll give you enough to think about. "If you've run with the footmen and they have wearied you, then how can you contend with horses? And if the land of peace wherein you trust they wearied you, then how will you do in the swellings of Jordan?" If you can't stand now in this little bit of difficulty and so-called persecution where churches can't meet as they want to, how will you stand when you won't buy or sell? So think about it and prepare yourself. Have an honest look at where you stand. And I'll see you for the next Lockdown 2021. Have a wonderful week. God bless you. Walk in faith and boldness.